Amir Khan entered the ring that night carrying speed few fighters in boxing history ever possessed. His hands didn't just move fast, they erased space. Across from him stood Marcos Maidana, a man who treated punches like currency and pressure like oxygen. This wasn't simply England versus Argentina. This was a collision between two boxing philosophies that could not coexist in the same ring for long. Khan needed distance, rhythm, and precision. Maidana needed chaos, contact, and one clean right hand. From the opening bell, the contrast was violent. Khan snapped the jab, stepped out at angles, and unloaded four-punch combinations before Maidana could even reset his feet. The hand-speed advantage was immediately obvious, almost unfair. Maidana swung heavy, searching, missing, but never retreating. Every punch he threw had intent, not volume. He wasn't trying to win rounds early. He was trying to plant seeds of doubt. Then came the moment that shocked the arena. A crushing body shot from Khan folded Maidana and sent him to the canvas. The crowd exploded. The message was clear. Speed wasn't just flashy, it was dangerous. Maidana rose slowly, unbeaten in spirit if not on the scorecards, and when he stood, there was no panic in his eyes, only calculation. The knockdown didn't discourage him. It confirmed his belief that Khan could be hurt. As the rounds progressed, Khan boxed beautifully, but something subtle began to change. Maidana stopped headhunting. He went downstairs, thudding hooks into the ribs, forcing Khan to reset more often, to move more than planned. Khan was winning the rounds clearly, but Maidana was winning something else: territory. Every step forward shortened the ring, and every exchange carried consequence. This was no longer a showcase. It was a test of whether speed alone could survive sustained violence. And as Maidana continued to stalk forward, absorbing shots and returning fire, the question hung heavy in the air: how long could P? By the middle rounds, the fight had shifted into something far more dangerous than the early blueprint suggested. Khan was still landing first, still landing cleaner, but Maidana had begun to land harder. Each right hand, even when partially blocked, forced Khan to think twice before committing to combinations. The luxury of staying in the pocket was gone. Now every exchange carried risk. Maidana's pressure was relentless but intelligent. He cut the ring instead of chasing, stepping laterally, forcing Khan toward the ropes where speed mattered less and power mattered more. The body work began to pay dividends. Khan's movement remained sharp, but the bounce in his legs wasn't as carefree. His breathing changed. His rhythm, once flawless, became calculated. Still, Khan's skill shone through. He timed Maidana coming in, split the guard with uppercuts, and fired rapid combinations that snapped Maidana's head back. On the scorecards, Khan was comfortably ahead, but boxing isn't judged by fear, it's felt. And Maidana was starting to make Khan feel something new. Then came the moments that shifted belief. Maidana landed a clean overhand right. Khan absorbed it, but the impact echoed. The crowd reacted differently now, not with excitement, but anticipation. They sensed vulnerability. Maidana pressed harder, throwing hooks to the body followed by looping shots upstairs. Khan responded with heart, standing his ground longer than advised, firing back to prove he wasn't intimidated. This was the danger zone. Khan's instinct to entertain collided with Maidana's need to destroy. The exchanges became brutal, and for the first time Maidana was no longer just surviving rounds, he was contesting them. The fight was tightening. Momentum wasn't fully swung, but it was leaning. In these moments, champions are measured not by dominance, but by discipline. Khan needed to remember who he was. Maidana needed only one lapse. The margin between brilliance and disaster had narrowed. The 10th round arrived with tension woven into every breath. Khan had built his lead through intelligence and speed, but the cost was accumulating. Maidana, bruised and swollen, remained dangerous because danger was all he knew. And then it happened, the punch every Maidana supporter had been waiting for. A thunderous right hand crashed into Khan's chin. His legs betrayed him instantly. Balance disappeared. The ring tilted. This was the moment every speed-based fighter fears, when movement fails and survival takes over. Maidana smelled it. He surged forward, throwing everything with bad intentions, each punch fueled by desperation and belief. Khan staggered backward, instincts fighting panic. He clinched, moved, tried to buy seconds. Maidana kept firing, forcing exchanges, landing again. The crowd was on its feet now. This wasn't about technique anymore. This was about heart. Any lesser fighter collapses here. Khan didn't. He fought back just enough to disrupt Maidana's rhythm, snapping short combinations, refusing to fully shell up. It wasn't pretty, but it was brilliant in its own way. He understood something critical. Maidana needed chaos. Khan needed moments. As the round wore on, Maidana's energy began to drain. His punches slowed, losing snap. Khan, though hurt, began to recover just enough to escape. When the bell finally rang, it felt like a rescue. Khan walked back to his corner alive, shaken but unbroken. That round changed everything. It validated Maidana's belief that Khan could be hurt, but it also proved something about Khan that critics doubted, that beneath the speed and glamour there was steel. The fight was no longer about who would win. It was about who would fall first. Years after the final bell, Amir Khan versus Marcos Maidana is no longer discussed as a simple title defense. It's studied as a warning and a reminder. This fight exposed the brutal truth about boxing at the elite level. Talent is not protection. Speed can win rounds, skill can build leads, but violence always waits for an opening. Khan learned that in real time, under the brightest lights, against a man who refused to respect reputation. For Khan, this fight marked a turning point in how the boxing world viewed him. No longer just the fast, flashy Olympic star, he emerged as a fighter capable of enduring chaos. He showed that he could be hurt badly and still think his way out. That matters in a sport where confidence shatters careers faster than punches. He didn't leave the ring untouched, but he left it validated. For Maidana, the loss did nothing to diminish his aura. In many ways, it enhanced it. He proved that pressure is a weapon, that belief can bend momentum, and that even when behind on the cards, a fighter can still control the emotional center of a bout. He didn't win the belt, but he won respect, the kind that follows you into every future fight. Opponents remember nights like this. What makes this fight timeless is that it refuses to give simple answers. It wasn't a robbery. It wasn't domination. It was a clash where both men were right and wrong. Khan was right to box, wrong to linger. Maidana was right to pressure, wrong to start too late. Boxing punished both, rewarded one, and entertained everyone. This is why fans still debate it, because deep down the fight reflects the sport itself. Unfair, exhausting, and decided by margins most people never notice. A half step, a breath, a clinch at the right second, a refusal to fall. In hindsight, Amir Khan versus Marcos Maidana feels less like a single night and more like a prophecy. Everything that would later define both men's careers was already written in those rounds. For Khan, the brilliance, the vulnerability, the razor-thin margin between control and catastrophe, all of it was on full display. For Maidana, the pressure, the violence, the refusal to lose belief no matter the scorecards, it was the blueprint he would carry forward. Khan's performance was elite but fragile. He proved he could outbox a monster, yet he also revealed a truth the boxing world never forgot. When caught clean, survival becomes instinctual, not technical. Fighters after Maidana didn't just watch this bout, they studied it. They saw that Khan could be timed. They saw that pressure could shorten his brilliance. And eventually, others would capitalize where Maidana came just short. Maidana, on the other hand, left the ring with something more valuable than a belt validation. He learned that his style worked at the highest level, that elite speed could be slowed, that champions could be pushed into desperation. This fight was the rehearsal for what he would later do to bigger names, bigger stages, bigger nights. He didn't need perfection. He needed belief and volume and one opening. This is why the fight feels unfinished even now. There was no knockout to close the chapter, no definitive ending, just exhaustion, respect, and unanswered questions. What if Maidana had started earlier? What if Khan had stayed disciplined longer? Boxing lives in those questions. More than anything, this fight reminded fans why boxing is cruel to absolutes. Speed doesn't guarantee safety. Power doesn't guarantee victory. Heart doesn't guarantee survival. Only balance does, and even that can fail. Amir Khan walked out with his hand raised, but he also walked out marked. Marcos Maidana walked out defeated, but dangerous in a way that couldn't be ignored. Makes Amir Khan versus Marcos Maidana linger in boxing memory is not who won, but how close everything came to collapsing. This fight lived permanently on the edge of disaster, where one decision, one exchange, 1 second too long in range could flip history. Khan boxed like a man racing a clock he could hear but not see, knowing that his speed was his shield and that the shield was cracking. Every combination he threw was brilliant, but every moment he stayed planted invited catastrophe. Maidana understood this instinctively. He wasn't chasing rounds, applause, or precision. He was chasing inevitability. He walked through punishment because he believed the math would eventually favor him, that pressure plus time equals opportunity. When Khan was hurt, the fight stopped being about belts and became about identity. Would Khan be remembered as fragile, or could he prove that intelligence and composure mattered even when legs betray you? In those moments, Khan showed something rare. He didn't panic. He didn't abandon his mind for survival alone. He fought ugly when necessary, smart when possible, and brave when required. Maidana, meanwhile, showed why fighters like him are nightmares. Even exhausted, even behind, even beaten round after round, he never stopped believing in the punch. That belief alone bent the fight's gravity. The audience felt it. The commentators felt it. Khan felt it most of all. This was not a fight where one man dominated. This was a fight where control was constantly borrowed and almost stolen. When the final bell rang, relief washed over Khan, not triumph. Respect followed Maidana, not regret. The decision settled the record, but not the debate.